Aditya is running across the cities of London at night in freezing temperatures searching for someone. Finally tired, he accepts defeat at the hand of love. Aditya pulls up outside his principal's house with a bunch of his friends in the middle of the night. They are all wearing masks and carrying the equipment they will need to teach a lesson to their principal, who bothers them constantly with his endless punishments. They have made all the arrangements for this elaborate prank that Aditya is the mastermind of. Aditya has taken this last opportunity to take revenge on their principal as a challenge, and pulls off the prank successfully, until the principal gets to see his face before they all make a run for it. His friends escort him to the train station the next morning, where he gets on the train, waiting for his friend Suresh to run fast enough to hand him a bottle of soda mixed with vodka. When his friends fail to get the bottle to him in time, he takes this as a challenge too, and picks it off from the moving train moments before it falls off the platform. Accepting challenges and winning them is part of Aditya's nature. He almost hits his head peering out of the train when a girl pulls him back, nagging at him for being careless. Aditya doesn't really pay much attention to whatever lecture she is giving him on safety, but rather focuses on her adorable features. He hugs her instantly, which takes her by surprise. He makes a direct comment on her beauty, and she slaps him for his shamelessness before walking away. Aditya's friend Ravi calls him on the train, advising him to stop getting himself into dangerous situations. But Aditya believes that his risky actions land him somewhere good, like how not being careful about his safety ended up in him meeting a really hot girl. He keeps talking about her beauty to Ravi when she comes out of the toilet in front of him. She could hear him all along, which is probably why she glares at him as she walks to her seat. The ticket collector approaches Aditya, and they get in a scuffle about the suspicious bottle Aditya was drinking from, which leads to the ticket collector throwing his ticket away. The ticket collector purposely kicks him out of the train at a train station 500 kilometers away from his destination, even though Aditya is willing to pay the fine for traveling without a ticket. The train makes a stop, and the nerdy girl who caught Aditya's attention, called Varsha, gets off alone at the station to fill her water bottle because she has a bad case of the hiccups. She sees the train leaving and tries to catch it, but some goons surround her with the intention of harassing her. Varsha starts screaming for help when Aditya runs to the scene, hurting the leader of the goons, not because he's trying to save her, but because he was trying to get back on the train he missed earlier that day. He recognizes Varsha and starts talking to her, when the goons assume that he's there to save her. He is about to back off from the situation when Varsha holds onto his hand and asks for his help. Aditya aces his new challenge of beating a group of goons up, until Varsha stops him to avoid any more violence. The goons run for their life when the station master finally wakes up from his ignorant slumber. Varsha keeps stealing glances at the carefree but noble Aditya, who just saved her, as he introduces himself to her. She tells him her name too, after he thanks her for saving his life back on the train, and goes back to quietly reading her book. He keeps trying to make conversation with her, which eventually irritates her so much that she breaks down about being extremely tense. Aditya tries to give her his phone so that she can contact her family and feel better, but she doesn't want to worry her family members as well. The phone starts ringing, and she immediately picks it up in a panic, forgetting that the mother who called this phone is Aditya's, not hers. She gets even more nervous as Aditya's mother interrogates him about the girl who just answered his phone, and demands he put Varsha on the line. When Aditya's attempt at resistance fails, he hands over the phone to Varsha, who apologizes for her mistake of accidentally picking up his phone, and briefs Aditya's mother about their situation. After the call ends, Varsha accuses Aditya of being the root of all this tension, and asks him to sit at a distance from her. Aditya complies, before leaving his jacket for her, to save her from the cold of the night. A while later, the crashing of thunder scares Varsha, so she moves to the bench beside Aditya, who starts annoying her again, so she grabs his gaming console and ruins his progress. This is her way of getting back at him for spoiling the ending of the book she was trying to read earlier. She confronts him about what she heard on the train when he was talking about her on the phone, but eventually backs off, because she can't win an argument with a smooth talker like him. He senses that she is hungry, and cooks her a yummy meal from a street food stall he found parked at the station. Varsha is enjoying her egg sandwich when Aditya confirms that she is single, and directly professes his love for her. Varsha reminds him that they met an hour ago, but Aditya argues that he fell in love the moment he saw her that morning, and he's unapologetic about not holding his feelings back. However, Varsha is nothing like him, and requires a lot of time to get to know someone and like them, but Aditya is hopeful that he'll make his way into her heart. It starts to rain, and they both get drenched, after which the train arrives at the station. Aditya refuses to join Varsha as she gets back on the train, until she promises to respond to his proposal by morning. When Aditya wakes up the next morning, Varsha is no longer on the train, so he searches for her all across Hyderabad station, but she is nowhere to be seen. Yet, he remains confident that he will find her someday. Aditya goes on to join college. A year has passed and Varsha has remained a mystery to him. The other girls in his college don't appeal to him, and spending time with his friends isn't enough to get his mind off of Varsha. He is visiting home on vacation with Ravi, who got his visa rejected for the 4th time now. Ravi wants to move abroad to escape from his strict father. Ravi and Aditya get back to their college, where their seniors are hazing the freshmen. Aditya tries avoiding them as his mother instructed him to, but they address Aditya directly. Ravi steps in to protect him, but makes a joke out of himself. The seniors are surprised to see the expensive car Aditya drives, which he got as a gift for ranking 6th in his entrance exam. Meanwhile, most of the senior girls want to befriend him because they are charmed by his looks, money, and intelligence. The only girl who wants them to maintain their dominance as seniors is Godavari, a girl rough around the edges. She goes to her male batchmates, who are hazing Aditya, and manages to take him away, until he calls her a sister and makes her miserable. Godavari brings Aditya to her friends, who are practically drooling for him. Aditya treats the rest of them platonically too, and narrates his brief love story to them. When he tells them Varsha's name and city, they all start mumbling among each other. Godavari might know someone who fits his description, and takes him to another part of their college, where that girl might be. After praying for good luck, Aditya sees Varsha standing at a distance, chatting with the senior Sanu, who was just hazing him a short while ago. Aditya walks over and gives her the rose Sanu has been holding, in a very romantic manner. Sanu threatens him to not talk to Varsha, because he already has a crush on her, and Aditya takes this as a challenge. Sanu embarrasses himself in front of everyone, but still orders Varsha not to interact with Aditya. Aditya tries talking to Varsha again, but she avoids him, because she doesn't want any trouble with Sanu and the other seniors. Godavari bosses Aditya around, and sends him to do a task that excites Aditya, because he finally gets a chance to have a proper conversation with Varsha. She finally gives him an explanation for leaving him high and dry on the train that morning, as her father had come to pick her up at the station, and Aditya was sleeping, so she got scared and left without waking him up. She also reveals that she was accepted at a better college, but she came to this college because she had seen this college's envelope in Aditya's bag that night at the train station. At this point, Aditya is fully convinced that she loves him, but she doesn't want him jumping to any conclusions. She clarifies that this college is very prestigious, which is why she came here, but the smile on her face says otherwise. Aditya introduces Varsha to Ravi, and she remembers him as the guy Aditya was talking to about her on the phone the day they met. She meets Ravi nicely, but calls him a brother, which gets Aditya's hopes up even more, because she never called him brother. Aditya sees Sanu and his friend nagging at her for talking to him, so he gets payback in his own mischievous style. Aditya and Ravi are heading back to his car, as he regrets not asking Varsha for her number, when he looks up and sees that she wrote it for him on all the dust settled on his car. Ravi unknowingly wipes the dust away, accidentally erasing Varsha's number before Aditya can note it. Aditya is in remorse when Varsha calls him herself. They enter into the habit of talking over the phone daily, and get to know each other better. Aditya finds out that Varsha, the daughter of a Cambridge University professor, was born in London, and was raised there for a few years until she moved to Hyderabad. Varsha and Aditya are making plans to watch a movie after college when Ravi breaks the happy news of his visa finally getting accepted. When Ravi leaves for abroad, Aditya and Varsha see him off together. Varsha teases Aditya about missing Ravi when she gets distracted and they almost get in an accident, as two guys on a motorcycle barely dodge getting run over by her car. Varsha apologizes to the guys, even though they were at fault for driving on the wrong side of the road, so they intimidate her. Aditya is about to get into a fight with them when Varsha holds him back and calms him down. Later, she advises him to learn to manage his anger better, as he gets ready to rumble over the smallest things. Aditya also calls her out for not reciprocating her love officially for him yet. She admits that she likes being chased by him, and plans to keep him hooked forever. She sees Sanu walking nearby and jokingly challenges Aditya to keep holding her hand for a minute, and if he succeeds, she will openly tell him that she loves him back. Aditya takes this seriously, and keeps holding her hand even though Sanu sees them. By the time Sanu comes over to confront them, Aditya's minute is up, and he has won the challenge. Nevertheless, she avoids holding up her end of the bargain and walks away. Aditya follows, not forgetting to naughtily taunt Sanu for failing in his pursuit of Varsha. The next day, Sanu coerces Varsha to tie a brotherhood bracelet on Aditya's hand, even though she clearly refuses. She rejects Sanu in front of everyone, and explicitly accepts that she loves Aditya while everyone is still watching. They walk away from the scene together in triumph. One night, Varsha brings Aditya over to her house and insinuates that they can be together for as long as they want. She puts on some chapstick and offers some chocolate to Aditya, secretly hoping for him to pick up on her signals. Aditya finally asks for consent to kiss her, and she squeals in celebration internally, but puts him off, saying it's too early. Aditya doesn't contest this at first, which slightly disappoints Varsha, who wants him to beg. He pleads and leans in to kiss her when she grants permission, but panics and hits her nose instead. Varsha takes the initiative and climbs on top of him, warning him that if he kisses her, he'll have to marry her, which is when he quickly gives her a peck on the lips before wishing her happy birthday, as the clock strikes 12. They proceed to make out in Varsha's car, as their own way of starting off her birthday. Aditya brings a ring to college the next day, and pretends to be indifferent toward Varsha as she seeks his affection. They meet after their exam, during which Sanu starts bothering them. Aditya loses control this time, and is pushing Sanu off when Sanu rips off a part of Varsha's sleeve and she falls to the ground. Sanu tries to make up an excuse, but Aditya beats him up, and all the other guys who try to defend him. The fight turns into a spectacle, and everyone gathers, including faculty members, who drag Aditya away from Sanu, who is wincing in pain. Aditya, Varsha, and Sanu are taken to the dean's office, who is angry about the damage to the college property and reputation. Aditya and Sanu give him their sides of the story as an explanation. But when the dean turns to Varsha to confirm, she denies that Sanu bothered her. When the dean questions her about her relationship with Aditya, she refutes the rumors of them being together, and assures the dean that he's just a friend. The dean accuses Aditya of bringing shame to Varsha with his irrational behavior, after which Aditya runs away from the office, unable to face any more betrayal or lies from Varsha. Varsha comes after him and insists on talking, even though he doesn't want to, because he knows that he's in a bad mood, and doesn't want to say anything that would hurt her feelings. She angrily reminds him that she can't treat her this way because she's his girlfriend. Aditya finds this hypocritical, after what happened in the dean's office, but Varsha argues that it's all his fault, because he got into a fight even though she tried to stop him many times. Aditya is angry at her for how she disowned him, while she tries to explain that she didn't want this matter to reach their parents, which is why she didn't get Sanu into more trouble. They face conflict because of their different approaches to life, which eventually leads to Varsha slapping Aditya for making a crude comment about her character. They both misunderstand each other and question their decision of falling in love with each other. Aditya breaks up with Varsha and throws the ring away in front of her. After their breakup, Varsha meets up with many potential suitors for marriage, but Aditya keeps haunting her mind and heart. Meanwhile, Aditya moved abroad to study and resides with Ravi, who is dating their house owner's daughter, Kavita. Aditya and Ravi have another roommate, Raju, who is an avid gambler. It's the day of their graduation, and he's betting on Aditya being one of the top 3 scorers. Aditya gets to his graduation late, just at the last moment, when they announce his name as the top scorer. Aditya takes life on his own terms now, and is watching a girl he finds attractive at a restaurant. So Ravi goes up to that girl, Sanena, to act as Aditya's wingman, but fails miserably. Kavita's father, the boy's landlord, coddles and admires Aditya a lot, because they are from the same caste, so he has come over to congratulate Aditya for scoring the highest in such a prestigious university. Kavita secretly admits to Aditya that her father has intentions to get them married, so Aditya promises her to not worry about it, as he will convince her father to get her marriage fixed with Ravi. Aditya is on a video call with his mother, who complains to Ravi for not being good enough of a friend, and failing to set him up with a girl. Ravi tells her about that interaction with Sanena, where Aditya didn't show significant interest. Aditya accepts his job as an architect in a firm, on the condition that they employ his friends too. His job is challenging enough for him, so he is satisfied with life, until his boss introduces him to the site manager he'll be working with, Varsha. Their paths have crossed again. He comes home to confirm his suspicion that Ravi knew about this all along, and set him up on purpose. He chases Ravi around the house to hit him with a bat until Kavita intervenes. Varsha calls out Kavita's name from behind as she's looking for her room. Ravi admits that he set up Aditya because he knew that the site manager was a girl, but even he didn't know that she'd turn out to be Varsha. Kavita has made arrangements for her to stay with them as a paying guest, in an effort to secure their jobs. Aditya threatens to agree to marry Kavita if she won't kick Varsha out. Kavita's father develops a good bond with Varsha, as she brings a chocolate cake to the barbecue he is holding for everyone. He tries to feed it to Aditya, who rudely walks out of the gathering. Varsha follows, calling out to him as she ignores her. She almost gets hit by a car, and he rushes to her to see if she's okay. Varsha wants Aditya to move past what happened between them, and extends the hand of friendship to him. Aditya clearly expresses that he despises her, and turns down her offer to be friends, when she reminds him that he will need her approval for every move at work, so it would have been better to be civil with her. Aditya immediately hands in his resignation at work the next day, because he doesn't want to answer to her, and she can't believe that he hasn't changed a bit. His friends plead with him to not quit, as it will cost them their jobs too. Raju volunteers to talk to Varsha on Aditya's behalf, because he doesn't want to talk to Varsha himself. They all get back to their jobs. Varsha and Aditya keep icing each other out at work, while also making significant progress with their project. One morning, Varsha keeps looking at Aditya, while he avoids her gaze. Kavita comes up from behind and hugs Varsha, wishing her a happy birthday. Varsha insinuates that Aditya doesn't remember her birthday, and he confirms this assumption, so she feels gutted for a moment, until Ravi's big mouth exposes that Aditya had been talking about her birthday the night before, which means he remembered it. Raju is also about to add to Aditya's embarrassment, until he sees his glare and runs away in fear. Aditya mentions that memories hurt, no matter how good or bad they are, before walking away. Later that day, Kavita, Ravi, and Raju come to Aditya to notify him that they are all taking some time off from work and heading back home, instead of their tents at the construction site, because of the long weekend holiday and Varsha's birthday. They invite Aditya to join them, but he refuses, so Varsha also has to stay back as site manager and miss her own birthday party. Aditya feels bad, because he isn't an evil person after all, so he quietly packs his bag and is about to leave the construction site when Varsha follows him, requesting a lift to the house. He hands her a card for a local cab company to book a ride for herself before driving away when he sees a car full of drunk, perverted men approaching Varsha from the side mirror of his car. They are about to shove Varsha into their car when Aditya starts honking his car loudly at them, blocking their path. The intense fury on his face does not waver for a moment when one of them grabs him by the collar after he steps out of his car. He beats them all up, but doesn't let it show that he is doing it for Varsha. Rather, he tries to give off the impression that he is being violent with those men because they broke a button on his shirt. Varsha screams at Aditya to stop as he is kicking one of the men repeatedly, and this gives him a flashback of the time she shouted at him at the railway station the night they met, because she didn't want him to murder one of those goons. By this time, the authorities have pulled up behind Aditya and are pointing a gun at him. The men start blaming Aditya for starting the fight, and the police are about to arrest Aditya when Varsha comes to his defense and explains how Aditya was trying to save her from those men, because he is her boyfriend. This is shocking to hear for Aditya, who stays quiet as the police detain the guilty men instead. Varsha apologizes for calling him her boyfriend in the heat of the moment. He agrees to drive her home, and she apologizes for her mistake that drove them apart. But Aditya is still convinced that he had no fault in the whole matter. They get back to a chaotic scene at the house, as Kavita's father is throwing a ruckus, because he is not willing to marry his daughter off to someone from a different caste. Aditya calls him out for his hypocrisy, as he advocates for unity among Indians, and yet still holds backward beliefs that make him discriminate on the basis of the caste system. Aditya vouches for Ravi and Kavita when Kavita's father taunts him for his failed relationship with Varsha. Varsha jumps in and tries to knock some sense into Kavita's father, which awakens something in Aditya. He tries to reach out his hand to her while she is crying alone, when Kavita and Ravi come over to thank Aditya and Varsha because they convinced Kavita's father to give his daughter's hand in marriage to Ravi. Aditya thanks Varsha and wishes her a happy birthday, which makes Varsha's day. A month later, things are looking up for Varsha, who is hoping to reconcile with Aditya, who breaks her heart as he admits that he likes her, but doesn't love or trust her. Varsha returns Aditya's stuff, disappointed that he's still stuck on a fight that happened 6 years ago. Aditya's mother reveals how Varsha kept checking in on him through her, in hopes of winning Aditya's love over again. This opens Aditya's eyes, who searches for Varsha all across London, and proposes to her when he finally finds her. They seal in their love for each other with a kiss, as they have understood and accepted each other fully.